Hey friends, welcome to today's video. Today we're creating this look. It's 100% drugstore. That's not true. It's actually like 99.9% drugstore because I did include the new Kosas Soulgazer Mascara, but everything else is drugstore and everything is pretty long wearing. So I really wanted to curate a look that would last the Texas heat. That's been my theme lately on my channel if you haven't noticed. So let's go ahead and get started. I do want to say if you're new to my channel, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. My name is Lisa. I'm a former makeup artist. It's nice to have you here. I hope you enjoy this and I hope that you will subscribe if you do. All right, let's get started. First things first, let's get this hair back. Now, I did not apply my SPF today. Typically, I wear a tinted SPF from Elastin, but I wanted to share a more affordable SPF, one that I really love and enjoy. This doesn't have a tint to it, but this is from the brand Naked Sundays, and this is the Cabana Clear Water Gel Serum SPF 50. You can pick this up from Ulta. I believe it's under $25. So I'm just gonna do one good pump. It's nice and translucent. There's no white cast to it, which is really nice. It also feels very hydrating, cooling, and very lightweight. It doesn't feel heavy, it doesn't feel sticky. It's a really great SPF before makeup. I feel like it really does plump and prep the skin for foundation. Might even do one more little pump just to make sure we get enough SPF. Perfect. Okay, wonderful. Now we got that really worked into the skin, really taking the time to really massage it into the face because I'm going to go right in with foundation. I'm not going to really give any time for this to absorb, which you typically want to give it a little bit of time before you apply your foundation, just so you have a nice, really pretty, even foundation application. So if you want to accelerate that process, just kind of press the product into the skin. Okay. Feels like we're ready for foundation. So I'm going to be going in with the Maybelline. This is the Lumi Matte Foundation. This is a new-ish release. I feel like this came out this year or within the last 12 months. It's a 30-hour luminous matte finish foundation, which is so funny because how can you be luminous and matte at the same time? But to me, what that means is you're going to have long wear. You're not going to have any shine or dewiness or oiliness, but it's not going to be a flat matte finish either. And I do think that this foundation delivers that. It's one of my favorites when I want a good long wear. So I have two shades here. I have the shade 120 and 125. I am a little darker from summer, so I'm going to just kind of put them both on the hand here, and then we will decide which one we do. I think we're going to do the 125. So this is what they look like. This is 120 right here. And this is 125. We've got 120, we've got 125. I almost feel like I could even mix them if I wanted to, but that's a little extra. You certainly don't need to buy two foundation shades. You can find your foundation shade in one product. I'm going to do 125. That's what we're going to go with. Now this foundation is great coverage. You do not need a lot of it. It's also pretty lightweight for how much coverage it gives. If you see, it slides down the hand pretty quickly. It's not really watery, but it definitely is not a heavy, thick, or weighty consistency. It is lightweight. So you're still going to get really great coverage from it though, but I love it because it spreads so beautifully on the skin. I'm using the BK Beauty 106 foundation brush. If you are new to my channel and you don't know this, I am actually the founder of BK Beauty. So little fun fact about me. So you will see me use exclusively BK Beauty in all of my videos just because I personally think they're the best, but I'm a little biased. There's your disclaimer. Oh, I love this foundation. It just spreads so beautifully and sheerly on the skin. It's a really great foundation for summer because of how long it wears and how lightweight it feels. So good. Okay, I'm gonna go in, spread it on the other side, and I'm definitely gonna go back and get more coverage, add more product. Because I'm not doing that tinted SPF, I actually need more coverage than I'm used to needing because normally I have a little coverage already from my SPF, but without that, I need a little bit more product. When I'm trying to build more coverage, I'm gonna take that 106 brush and I'm just gonna bounce it in the center of the face in those areas that I want to kind of layer up the product and get more coverage. Just kind of bounce it. The great thing about this brush is it's like the perfect amount of like softness and fluffiness, but also density. You need the density to get really great coverage from the product, but you also need it to be soft and fluffy so that it blends out sheerly and you don't just have this like big gob of foundation on the skin that you can't seamlessly blend out. And I really think that the 106 is just the perfect brush to give you that. When I get to the jawline, I will really buff in circular motions. So you can see what I'm doing right now is I'm really spreading that product out, shearing it out so that I have a really seamless blend and I don't have a harsh line where I have too much product built up. This foundation is so pretty. I remember when this launched, I Loved it. I was so impressed with it. Another really good one that I want to give some mention to is the new L'Oreal Skin Ink Foundation. That one is so nice, you guys. Really great coverage and very, very lightweight and also very long wearing. The only thing you need to know about that foundation is that you do need to shake it and you want to apply in sections and blend out in sections because it does dry pretty quick. And I'm just going to go and we're going to do the forehead. Yeah, this is like a perfect shade for me. So I am kind of getting curious about this, I don't know what you call it, procedure, treatment. And if you have done this and you have any feedback, please drop a comment and let me know. I'm really tempted to look more into this. I'm a little nervous about the pain of it, and I'm also just nervous about the results. Like, it's costly, and I do hear that it's kind of painful. So if I'm going to go through with it, I want to make sure that the results are what I hope for, but I'm interested in trying out Soft Wave. Have you guys heard of Soft Wave? It's a non-surgical treatment to help with tightening and sagging skin, just kind of lift the skin a little bit. And I've heard that it gives great results, but I've also heard that it is very painful. I'm very curious to try it. Mainly, I just kind of want to like lift this a little bit, kind of lift the skin a little bit. It's not anything dramatic, but also it's not surgery, so it's something more, non-invasive. There's no downtime, even though, from what I've heard, even though it's very painful, once the procedure's done, you're done. You walk out of there and you're no longer in pain. So anyway, if you have any experience with Soft Wave, please drop a comment. Let me know what you think. If I do decide to do this and go through with this, I will definitely share my experience, my before and afters. Yeah, if I do it, it is probably going to be the most I don't know what the right word is. Serious thing I've done so far. I've done RF microneedling and I've done BBLs to my face, but that's it. But I do feel like now's a good time. I'm 42, and not that I am complaining at all. I'm, not, but I think this is a good time to start those little procedures. Okay, for concealer, we're going to go in with the Neutrogena Radiant Cream Concealer. I love this. This has been a favorite of mine for years. It's a very hydrating, lightweight concealer. If you have dry under eyes, I think you'll really like it. Even if you don't have dry under eyes, I think that this is just a great concealer. Very hydrating and just very natural looking. And it's a little bit lighter and brighter, which is perfect. Since I did go with that darker foundation shade, putting a little bit of brightness underneath the eyes will just kind of balance out the overall look. And I'm going to go in, what are we going to use? We're going to use the BK Beauty A506 to blend this out. Now this is the all burgundy handle and ferrule because it's part of our Holy Grail collection, which has the 3 bestsellers, the 101, the 109, and the A506, all in this special edition finish. And I'm just going to tap, tap, tap to blend this concealer out underneath the eyes. And I am going to take it down a little bit, again, to just kind of bring some brightness more into the center of the face, kind of highlight that area. Perfect. Now there's still some more blending to be done here, but I'm going to move to the other side and start to blend this out, and then I'm going to come back and finish out that blend. Letting it kind of self-set a little bit and slightly dry down before you finish out your blend is just going to give a little more full coverage, and it's just going to allow you to just not absorb so much product onto your brush. Okay, so then we're going to go back and we're going to come to this side and we're going to finish out this blend. I'm going to sweep the excess in the corner up here on the lid and just tap, tap, tap. Look up so that you stretch the skin and you absorb any excess that might be laying in those creases or those fine lines that we all have underneath our eyes. So make sure you do that. I think that all concealers have the ability to crease if you over apply them. So even though concealers can say this won't crease or it's, creaseless, I don't think that's true if you over apply. You really have to make sure you're not applying too much product and that you're removing any that might be starting to settle in those little lines that you have under the eyes. Perfect. Okay, we are done. So I really took my time to really blend that product into the skin, press it, and yeah, now I'm feeling very, very well concealed and bright. Okay, you guys, let's put some brows on. I feel like I need some brows. So for brows, we're going to use the NYX Precision Brow Pencil, one of my favorites from the drugstore, and I am the shade Taupe. This is a pencil, but it also has a little bit of a waxy texture to it. So if you have thinner brows that kind of are a little wild or grow in different directions, it will slightly tame them down a little bit. It's not like a brow gel or a brow pomade by any means, but it'll help a little bit. Now, if you have thicker, more coarse brows, this isn't enough to do that, but just a little heads up. I have thin, very thin, weak brows, so I'm going to go in first and create the shape with this product. And I also like to extend it out a little bit. One of my eyes is more lifted than the other. It's starting to get pretty noticeable. It doesn't bother me, but it is something that I notice, especially when I am going to do my brows. I have to remember not to like obsess and try and get them exactly the same, because if I do, I think it'll look odd, because one will have to be so over exaggerated just to lift like the other that it just will not look good. So don't obsess over perfection, I guess is my point here. Work with what you have and do the best you can to balance out the look. Do you see? So you see how this brow is higher than this one? And that's okay. It just is what it is. If I were to try and make them even, this lower one would just be like too exaggerated. It would look very odd. So we're going to stop there, and then we're going to go in and add a little volume to the brow. I'm going to go in with the e.l.f. Brow Wow Gel, and this is the shade, I want to say this is also taupe. Yes, it is also taupe. This is a really great brow gel, you guys, to add volume to your brows. So again, I have sparse brows, which means I don't have a lot of hair, and the hair that I do have is very thin and just, you know, not really voluminous. So I'm going to add some volume to the brows, make them look more full, more realistic. A pencil is great because it creates the shape that you want, but it can also make them look very fake and drawn in if you don't go in and add some volume. Now you might already have volume from your brows and a brow gel might be unnecessary, but I think most of us can get away with using a brow gel, either to add volume or just to like groom the brow hairs in place. And I like to kind of brush them up, just to give a little more fluff to the brows. I have been loving this powder. This is the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop mattifying powder. It's very soft and velvety. It's a really beautiful matte finish, not dry and heavy looking at all. It is pressed, so it's not going to be as fine as like a loose powder. I love to apply it with my N17 brush, the darker fibers, because this brush just really gives you so much control. It really allows you to softly, lightly layer powders. So I'm just going to tap it, and we are going to start right underneath the eyes and just kind of press that powder right underneath the eyes. Oh, do you see what that did? I think you can even see it on camera. It just mattified and smoothed out any texture I had underneath the eyes. Going to the other side. And again, you want to look up so that you stretch that skin and you get that powder right over any texture to set, so that that concealer doesn't move or migrate into fine lines. Now you do want to be careful not to over powder. And if you have really dry eyes and you have a lot of texture, be very, very light with your powder. And you might even find that you prefer not to powder. If you feel like a powder really makes you look dry under the eyes after a couple hours, some days I have those days where I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh my gosh, my concealer looks so dry, or my under eyes look so dry. And I'm just having, you know, maybe I applied too much powder that day. Maybe I didn't properly hydrate my under eyes before I applied my concealer. Some days I get it, some days I don't. But if you are someone that's like, absolutely not, every time I put powder underneath my eyes, it just looks terrible, then skip it. There are other things you can do though. You can take a beauty sponge or take a clean brush, something that's dense like the N14, and press it over and over and over on your concealer to really set and push that product into the skin and absorb any excess concealer. Because the main idea for powder is to just set your concealer so that it doesn't crease and it doesn't move around. So if you're not going to use powder, you have to use other techniques to achieve that. You can also take a little setting spray on a brush and just set it and kind of dab it underneath the eye. That'll help too. Okay, so we have set, I've really just set the center of the face. I don't really feel the need to set everywhere. Again, I want to keep that really beautiful luminous matte finish from the foundation. If I were to go in with powder and powder all over the entire face, I'm kind of losing that. So we don't want to do that. We just want to powder where we need. Okay, let's go in and do some bronzer. And we're actually going to play with two bronzers today. We're going to play with the cream, and then we're also going to play with the powder. So this is the Milani Cheek Kiss. This is the shade Hey Honey. I have to say, this is probably one of my favorite cream bronzers from the drugstore. It is so good. Everything about this formula and this color are perfection. I would not change a thing. Now I'm going to use the same N17 brush, except I'm going to use the lighter color fibers to apply this product. I'm just going to press it, kind of lightly tap it, look at the brush, see how much product I pick up. I always recommend starting with less product and going into build if you need to. It's always much easier to build than to erase when it comes to makeup. So I've got it on my N17. I'm just going to find my cheekbone. Right here is where it starts. And I'm just going to start to press right on the cheekbone with this brush and deposit that color. You can see it's very light. Yes, I can afford to grab some more. So let's go and grab some more. And every time I go to my face with the brush, like after I've just loaded it, I always want to start closest to my hairline. I never want to start right here. Like as soon as I pick up the product, never start right here because that's where you're going to apply the most product. And I don't want a lot of product there. I really want it to be further back. That way I have the ability to move it up the hairline if I want, or just kind of like diffuse it. By the time I get here, this part of the face, like right where the apple of the cheek kind of stops or starts, should I say? I'm trying to be really descriptive here. Right when I get there, I want the color to softly diffuse away, all right? And if you put too much product, it's difficult to do that. So, but look at how beautiful and just even and consistent this is. It's so nice. And I'm gonna really work it into the hairline, whatever's left. So good. If you ever feel like you take it too far down, which maybe I did right here, I'm just gonna take my foundation brush. I didn't add any product to this. I'm just taking whatever was on it when I last used it. And we're just going to minimize that so to bring that back up. If you bring your bronzer too far down, it's going to drag the face down. So you do not want to bring it too far down. And I do think that just now I got a little too far down. So it is okay. Makeup can be fixed. That's the beauty of it. Perfect. I love this brush. You really can just press it onto the skin and it's going to apply and give you just the perfect blend. Oh yeah, so nice. Just right in that hairline. I'm going to make a little comment. To anyone watching now, I first want to say I love you guys. You guys are incredible. I have the most supportive and incredible community here. I'm so lucky that you choose to watch my content and be part of this. The other day I was going through just comments and I just read a comment that was obviously not from a subscriber. It was probably from someone who kind of randomly came across my video. And it was really just hateful. It was really rude. And they commented on my marionette lines. They said that my lines here were very deep. And to be honest, that is something that I've noticed and kind of always been a little insecure about. And I read that and my first 2-second response was like, but then the more I thought about it and as, just a few moments passed, I realized that that comment is more a reflection of that person than of me, right? And I just blocked, removed, and moved on. So I'm just sharing that because I think we all deal with some level of haters, trolls, or whatever you want to call it. We all have, whether you're online or maybe it's someone in your personal life that you hear says something about you or makes a comment, and I think when people make comments like that about other people, it is always a projection and a reflection of that person and insecurities that they might have or, issues they might be going with. No one really happy and confident and joyful is leaving comments like that on people or talking about people that way. So I just want to share that with you because I kind of had to remind myself and have a little pep talk with myself the other day when I read that and they caught me in a moment of weakness. I'm going to send that person a little bit of love because I think they need it. Okay, so now let's go ahead and set. I really love the way the bronzer looks. Let's go ahead and set everything with a little powder. I'm going to go in with the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. This is a powder bronzer. I have used this forever. I don't even know. This one's very old. I don't even know if the current packaging still looks like this. I hope it does. But I love this bronzer for a powder bronzer. It is just one of the best, I think, at the drugstore. I'm going to go back in with the N17. This time I'm going to use the darker fibers. So if you haven't noticed yet, the darker fibers are great for your powder products, your powder and your dry products. The lighter fibers are best for your cream or your liquid products. So I'm going to grab the darker fibers, pick up a little bit of this, and we're really just going to softly tap it right over the cream bronzer. We're not going to pack it on. We're really going to be soft with it. In the hairline, we're going to sweep it. This is just going to softly set that cream. It's not necessarily adding a lot more color, but it is just kind of an added insurance that the cream stays and is set. Okay guys, let's move on to my next favorite part of the makeup application, which is blush. And similar to what we did with bronzer, we're gonna do the same thing with blush. So we're gonna go with the cream first, and I'm gonna use the Milani Cheek Kiss. This is the shade Nude Kiss. And we're gonna use the same brush. We're gonna go back in with our N17. I like to smile first. Now, as I've gotten older, my blush placement has definitely changed. Now I like to kind of lift the face more with my blush. So I have to make sure that I don't apply it too much, like right here, or too low. I love blush on the apples of the cheek though. I know that the trend we've seen is kind of having it further back here. I like to look in the mirror and see that blush when I smile, and I'm just not gonna give that up. Maybe that's outdated. I don't care. I love it. It's what makes me feel good, and that's what I'm gonna do. And I encourage you guys to do the same. So if you ever hear a makeup trend that contradicts something that you do and love, if you love it, you do it. Makeup is all about making you feel good, and I stand by that. So I'm gonna smile and pop it on the apple of my cheek, but then I am going to press and blend up and back, okay? I really exaggerate that apple, smile real big so that I can see where that is, and I press, 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 and blend up and back. Yeah, so good. I want it to be light because I am going to go in and layer a powder blush on top of this. So I want to be careful I don't apply too much in this step. If I weren't doing powder blush, I might go a little heavier with it, but I'm going to resist the urge because trust me, there is an urge to go heavier with this blush. I love blush. I'm a blush girl. Okay, so there we are. Very pretty, very soft, just kind of like a flush to the cheeks. Now I have two blushes here, you guys. I've got the Milani Luminoso Powder Blush. Love this one. I think we're all familiar with it. It's a really great one. It does have a little pearlescence to it, so give some shimmer and some highlight to the skin. And then I also have this one, which I think I'm going to use because I know I recently used this one in a video. This is the Rose Powder Blush. It's so pretty. I love it. It's just like this little floral design. I think it's sweet. It's a powder blush. Now there's no shimmer to it, but there is a really soft sheen to this product. So a sheen is going to reflect light and give a little highlight to the skin, but it's not going to be as dramatic as like a shimmer particle or a pearl particle. Same brush. We're going to use this side now. Do you see how much I've used this brush, you guys? I'm telling you, this brush is a must-have. If you don't have this brush, this is a must-have. And I'm going to make sure this video goes live while we're still having our anniversary sale at BK Beauty. So any of the brushes that I'm using in today's video, you'll be able to get during our anniversary sale. I'll have all the dates down below. So depending on when you're watching this video, obviously the sale might be over if you're watching this a week or 2 weeks later, but I am gonna get this uploaded during our anniversary sale so you have time to shop and get some deals on these brushes. Okay, so let's just go and, ooh, okay, this has a little more impact than I thought. Now, when I'm applying this, I am sweeping. Do you notice I've changed my application? I've always been pressing and patting the brush. Now I'm sweeping, okay? This is a really pretty formula. It's very soft. Oh, it's beautiful. This color is just a very pretty peachy pink. I think peachy pinks or peach blushes are just so complimentary and they just liven up the face. It just gives this very youthful, healthy look to the skin, and I am here for it always. And I still, you know what? I still find myself coming back here and bringing that blush further over. I just can't help it. I cannot help it. It is just what I do, and that is okay. You know what? That is okay. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to eyes, you guys. We're going to use the e.l.f. Lock It Down Eyeshadow Primer, and I am going to just do a little swipe on the lid, a little swipe on the lid. This is a nice primer because it's transparent. There's no color to it, so it's not going to change the color of your eyeshadow. Where's my N16 brush? This is my favorite brush for the eyelid when you're working with cream or liquids, whether it's primers or eyeshadows. I'm just going to spread this out. And you see how I kept the layer really sheer? I did that intentionally. When you're working with an eyeshadow primer, you want to make sure you have a nice sheer, even layer of it, even from the lashes up to really the brow, wherever you're going to apply shadow. If you have a harsh line where it stops when you go and apply shadow on top, the shadow is going to stick to that area where the primer is, and you're not going to be able to blend it where that line is, where the primer stops. You're going to have a hard time blending past that because it's just going to, it's like glue. It's going to grab that powder shadow and you're not going to be able to blend it. So make sure that you really evenly spread it out. And look at that. It's nice. It's invisible. You don't even know that it's there. So it's really great when you don't want to tweak or change the color of the shadows that you're using. We're going to use this palette from Milani. We're using a lot of Milani today. This is the Milani Gilded Mini Palette, and this is the shade Whiskey Business. They are all matte shades. They're all pretty warm, really beautiful. Great palette. I think if you want a really good neutral warm palette, this one is great. We're going to take our N13 brush and we're going to take the lightest shade first, and we're just going to sweep that underneath the brow to give a little bit of brightness there. Whenever you put a little brightness underneath the brow on your brow bone, it's going to lift the eye a little bit, okay? You want to avoid using really shimmery or frosty shadows there. Again, if you love it, do it. By all means, do it. But I like to keep it either matte or with a little bit of a sheen. Nothing too frosty or too heavy, especially if you have oily skin or you live in a hot climate, because that frost will just kind of like melt in with the other shadows later throughout the day and it just kind of gets real muddy looking. Okay, next we're going to go with this shade right here. So I'm going to be using, I think I'm going to be using these three shades right here. We're going to go first in with this one. I'm just going to apply this all over the lid. I want to see how, okay, this is actually pretty light. I'm going to apply this all over the lid, back and forth, and then I am going to work a little bit into the crease. It doesn't look like much, but this is an important step, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I'm about to go in with a matte shade that's quite a bit darker than my skin. And I want something there a little bit lighter that will kind of take that darker matte and just make it look a little softer and blend a little easier. So putting this shadow, even though it looks like I didn't put anything down, really makes a huge difference, you guys. Then we're gonna go in with this shade right here, same brush, we're gonna keep it simple. And we are gonna start in the outer corner. Ooh, look at that, see how dark and rich that is? We're gonna start in the outer corner and then we're going to just kind of sweep that onto the outer half of the lid, and then work it into the crease a little bit. And my pressure is very light. I want this eyeshadow look to just be soft. I want all the lines to be diffused. I don't want it to be too heavy anywhere. That's nice. And let's go right in here and really diffuse out that crease. Perfect. Okay, so really work that in, take my time, soft pressure. Do you see how that's just blending really smooth and evenly? It's not sticking, it's not grabbing anywhere. It just looks like a nice even blend. Those are the small differences between a really well done eye makeup and something that's rushed a little bit more, where you skip those little tiny steps that maybe they seem like they don't matter, but in the overall look they really do. Okay, so those tiny little details really matter. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back and I'm going to grab that shadow we're applying, and I'm just going to kind of sweep it over to the lid. For this look, I want less of the eyeshadow to look like light, dark in the crease. I mean, we're doing that, right? But I want it to look a little more cohesive. I don't want you to really see where one color starts and one color stops. So I'm taking that darker shade and we're just going to softly bring it in more onto the lid. I'm going to keep the very inner corner of the lid lighter though. That's going to help open up the eyes. But I do want to bring this color a little further over on the lid, maybe to cover the middle of the lid and then diffuse out. Perfect. A nice, pretty, just warm, matte look. Okay, we don't need to complicate it. We could definitely go in and add darker colors and make it a little bit more dramatic, but to be quite honest, you guys, I think this is really nice. I think this is really lovely, and I don't really feel like I need to add more to this. I'm just taking a clean N14 brush and running it underneath the eyes just to, in case there was any fallout, which I didn't see any, but in case there were, I was removing it, but I think we are good. So my youngest daughter, Kate, is at summer camp right now, and it's a new camp. She's never been to it before, and she went to camp last year, but it was a 2-week camp, and she loved the first week, but she got homesick on the last week. This camp is only 7 days, but I've been worried about her. I'm like, you know, how's she doing? You know, and I just missed a phone call from it. I looked down as I was filming, and I missed a phone call, and I realized that that was camp, and I was like, oh my gosh, why are they calling me? Is everything okay? But they were just calling me to tell me that, you know, all the activities that she's doing. Give me an update. They were just telling me, you know, the activities that she's enjoying and that she's not homesick and she's having a good time. So I am relieved to hear that. Oh my gosh, I totally just panicked. Okay, let's regroup. Now I'm moving on to eyeliner. I'm going in with the NYX retractable eyeliner, and I'm just lining as thin as I can right at the lashes. And I actually am taking it further over than I normally do, just because I kind of messed up and I had this like rough end that I needed to seamlessly bring back into the lashes. So normally I don't take it all the way over there, but I did. But you know what? It's okay because I kept it pretty thin. I'm going to go in with the N12, and we are going to go in with, we're going to go with this shade right here, this dark kind of cool toned espresso brown. And we're going to tap off the excess, and we're going to work right into the lashes and just kind of press it right on top of where we did that liner. Okay, this is pretty. Even though I took it further than I do, I think it looks really good. Very clean, very rich. And I say rich meaning like just deep, you know, very deep. So let's hope that we can accomplish the same thing on the other side. I do love this liner. It's so creamy and it's a very nice alternative to black. It's going to give you, you know, really great definition like a black liner would, but be a lot softer. I think for me personally, black does not suit my tones very well. I like a richer brown. Okay, so we got it on there. It's not perfect, but I was more worried about keeping it thin than keeping it perfect, because any mistakes that we made, we can fix it with this next step, which is again the N12 in the matte eyeshadow. Make sure you tap off all that excess and then just kind of press it right on top and into the lashes. Now we are a little thicker on this side than this, so we do have to go and even that out. Okay, perfect. There we go. Good. I'm going to stop there because I can get real carried away with liner. And if there's one thing I don't want to get carried away with, it is eyeliner, because that's much harder to fix than blush. We're going to put a little eye drops in the eyes. I'm going to list down below for you guys my favorite eye drops. It's not these. These are okay, but I found this brand called Oasis. It was recommended by my ophthalmologist. If you have dry eyes, these are fantastic. Okay, so while those kind of settle in my eyes, let's go and do the lower lash line. We're going to use the 203, and I'm going to first go in with this shade right here. It's very light, and I'm just going to run this on my lower lashes. It's very light, so I am going to go in with something darker, but I do want this lighter shade to be blended in there a little thicker, because what's going to happen is it's going to make the darker shadow that I use look more diffused. Even though you don't really see this, having this down there is gonna diffuse the darker shade that I use and just make it look just softer. So now we're gonna go in with this little 210 brush. It's a little tiny, tiny pencil brush. And we are gonna go in with this shade right here, the one we used in the crease. And we're just gonna smoke this out on the lower lash line. So we're kind of doing the same steps that we did on top, on the bottom, as far as the shades that we're using. Oh, I love a good warm kind of saddle color like this. If you have blue or green eyes, I think it's just the most complimentary color you can wear in your eyes. Just really pops the color out of your eyes. And it's actually truly complimentary. On the color wheel, it's orange is the opposite of green. So whenever you put two opposite colors next to each other, it enhances the other one. So it pulls the green out of it. Now, when you layer complementary colors on top of each other, it actually neutralizes them. Little fun fact. So that's when like color correcting comes into place. Let's add some mascara. Now we're gonna switch from Drugstore because I just got this in the mail. This is the new Kosas Mascara, the Soulgazer Mascara, and I saved it to apply with you on camera. I have not opened this and used this yet. They sent me an eyeliner, a Soulgazer waterproof gel eyeliner, but it's in black, so we're not gonna use that today. They sent me the mascara, and then they sent me the exclusive curved linear brush. I don't know if I'm supposed to do anything with this brush or if it's just like, I think this brush is just for show. Ooh, okay. Let's talk about this. I'm assuming this is the wand that is in the mascara. So a few things about this mascara. It's lengthening mascara plus lash boosting peptide serum in one. So it instantly lengthens, lifts, and defines for a fluttery look. It has this unique, they're calling it a curved linear brush, which hugs every lash, even the tiny ones. And it feels weightless, builds beautifully, and never clumps. Smudge-proof, long-wearing, and safe for sensitive eyes. We like all of that. Okay, the fact that it's weightless tells me that it will probably hold a curl really well. So let's curl the lashes. When you curl your lashes and then you apply a mascara that's very heavy, that's why you can look into the mirror throughout the day and you feel like your lashes have fallen flat because that mascara is weighing them down. Okay, so let's give these a good curl. This is the BK Beauty Lash Curler, by the way. This is also part of the sale. Everything we have on the site will be on sale, by the way, you guys. So, all right, let's go in here. I love the component. It's really pretty. And I'm just going to use this one since there's no mascara on. It's really bendy. Like, you can really, really bend it. It's very flexible, which I like that. It has an hourglass shape. Okay, let's go in here and I'm going to first kind of close my eyes and rest my lashes on the wand, and then I'm gonna wiggle back and forth, wiggle back and forth. This little technique allows you to really get as much mascara off the wand and onto your lashes, and then from there you can pull it through to extend the lash. My lashes right now are in a weak state. I have not been using my lash serum regularly like I should be. They're not growing as thick and full as they usually are. This left eye is always more full, and I think it's because I do mostly sleep on my back, but when I do roll over midway through the evening or night, I will end up on my right side. Ooh, it's pretty. So definitely a lengthening mascara. I mean, of course I'm getting some volume from it, but I notice more length. It's not a really heavy volumizing mascara, I wouldn't say. I feel like it does do a really great job of separating every lash, really fanning them out, which is nice. I do wish there was a little more volume to this just because I love a little more volume and because my lashes are, again, thin right now and weak. So I want to go back in with like my Bobbi Brown and add some more volume. But it's giving great length. It is separating. It does, I can tell it's lightweight. Does not look heavy at all. And it's not really clumping at all. So it's a good mascara. I just need a little more volume from it. You might not though. You might have very full lashes, thick lashes. Okay, so this is what the mascara looks like. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to lips. For lips, we're going to be using the NYX Line Loud. This is the shade Leave a Legacy. It's a nice kind of spicy color. These are very, very creamy, very pigmented. They're really great formula. Kind of overline that Cupid's bow. And I like to kind of fill in the corners a little bit. With this, it's very creamy. It almost kind of doubles as a lipstick. And for lips, I have two lipsticks here I want to try. I have the shade Peony from Milani. I thought this was really pretty. It's like a creamy kind of matte formula, very opaque. And then I have this shade from Juvia's Place. This is the shade 2020. Kind of similar, but the first one is a little bit warmer. This is a little deeper, a little more mauve. This is the Revlon Color Stay Suede Ink. Ooh, that's pretty. The formula's a bit drier though. I think that this one might be old. And then the last one I have a lot of options here, is this NYX Lingerie XXL Matte Liquid Lipstick. No, that's too pinky. I don't want that. We're gonna go with the first one, the Milani. It's matte, but it's also creamy. It doesn't feel like a dry matte. Yeah, it's pretty. Really just one swipe is all you need. So pretty. And I do not have a gloss, you guys, so we're gonna leave this kind of matte. Perfect. Okay, the last thing that I'm gonna do, you guys, is I'm gonna take my 112 brush from BK Beauty, and I'm gonna just pick up a little bit of the NYX powder on the side of this brush. This brush is really light and airy and fluffy, so it's not gonna pick up a ton of product. And the last thing I'm gonna do is just sweep it, kind of retouch up my foundation, and just gonna do one little pass over everything. Okay, and last, let's take the Milani Make It Last Original Setting Spray. A light little setting spray to make sure everything stays in place. I'm trying to be really good about remembering setting spray every day in the summer because it really does make a difference. Okay, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. This was a lot of fun. I had fun just getting ready with you, hanging out. I hope you enjoyed this drugstore tutorial. Of course, I will tag all the products in YouTube shopping. I'll probably tag as much as I can to Ulta because I feel like Ulta is one of my favorite places to shop for drugstore beauty. So I'll tag everything where I can find it. I'll also list anything in the description box if you want specific shade names or just any other information. And I will also leave all the information for BK Beauty's anniversary sale in the description box. So thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.